like to call to order this regular meeting of the Bandera Economic Development Corporation at City Hall, 511 Main Street, Bandera, Texas. Thursday, June 23rd, 2022 at 6:01 p.m. If everybody would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Item number 3, announcements. Do we have any announcements?
Patricia has some.
Oh, I'm public to be heard, but
Well,
or how do y'all word your agenda?
just go ahead and talk the sunglasses since I forgot the forms.
Okay, I got the forms here. Everybody can have a copy. Let me get organized. As you know, we at the CVB have been championing the fact that we don't have a whole lot of time before we will have a couple of eclipses in this community. So, while we had the opportunity, we expended and purchased 75,000 glasses. We are making these available to the John Q. public for both sale and personal use at 30 cents a pair. And they must be bought in bundles of 50, so that's a $15 investment. So, that being said, we should's an operative word, we have paid to have the first 37,500 delivered, and they should be delivered within, hopefully by the end of June, believe it or not, and there you go. We've already have a commitment for over 14,000 of them. So, we'll get rid of, storage is an issue. We can store the original shipment in our office and then order the remainder of our commitment, hopefully sometime next year, to see where we're standing. And yes, they will hold through both eclipses. So that's my announcement. And all the information, Josie at Hi-Ho is on our board, and she has figured all of this out. We will accept only cash and check. We're not going to do the credit card route. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any visitors to be heard?
No.
Okay. Agenda item number 5, consent agenda. Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda except for the appraisal and the modifications to the budget, which Keely is working on.
Okay. Do we have a second? My understanding is the intent is to move the appraisal invoice to by itself.
Yes,
Correct.
since we don't have the actual appraisal.
Okay. Do we have a second on approving the consent agenda with the exception of the appraisal on the Buck Creek property and the budget amendments that need to be made by Keely? Okay, Kay seconds. Discussion. All in favor?
Wait. So we're basically just approving the approval of minutes.
Okay. Lindsay?
So, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So the thing, she just wants it separated, the appraisal invoice separated out from the other issues, is that correct?
For that and the budget, because the budget has amendments that need to be made to it.
So there'd be separate motions each?
The budget would not be approved until our next meeting, but the appraisal would be a separate item under the, yes.
Okay.
And Lindsay, the only reason for this is we typically don't pay for stuff unless we have received the product. And that's my only reason for doing that.
Okay, so that passes, all in favor, none opposed. And now we will move on to the invoice for the Buck Creek property itself. Do I have a motion?
I'm sorry, I was reading the minutes, what were you?
Okay, so we have approved the consent agenda with the exception of the invoice for the Buck Creek property for
Gotcha.
appraisal and the budget. The budget has amendments that need to be made that were given to Keely so that she can make them. That'll be pushed to the next meeting.
Okay,
The invoice for the appraisal is now what we're talking about separately. Do we have any motions?
I make a motion to approve the Buck Creek property appraisal.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Lindsay seconds, discussion?
Price seems kinda high to me.
Yes.
I agree, it does seem very high.
Hate to be the one to say it.
No.
That's what we were looking at, so I just checked and I just paid $750 for a 5-acre lot that's undeveloped. So 1,800 per lot times, and I don't know why it's showing 2 lots, cause we actually have 3 lots that are that we wanted appraised on there. Seems very high. So, yes.
I feel like we're in a transition stage of what the economy is also doing at this particular point in time. I don't know, I think if we get one today, it may not be good 6 months or 3 months from now.
I think that's true for real estate at any
Right,
point in time.
but, I think we're probably getting ready to see some big changes. I would like to see us maybe hold off on this appraisal for a while.
But we already had the appraisal done.
No,
Oh,
it has not.
That's
It
just
has
an
not.
estimate?
That is his invoice, he won't do the appraisal until we pay the invoice.
Oh,
Which I'm glad.
heck with that. My opinion.
So is there any
I
compelling?
would like to at least see us shop around on a price
Yes,
beforehand,
Yeah.
because that's a big difference, $750 to $1,800.
your
per
price
lot.
is more apropos.
Right.
We don't have a compelling timeline that we have to meet for the appraisal anyway.
No, we don't.
We don't have a need either right now.
Right now, doing the appraisal is just more of a, we wanna see what the market value is right now.
I think it's a good idea to shop around as well.
Okay. Thank you, Lindsay. Anybody else? Any further discussion?
Yeah, I would say my opinion is, absolutely, I mean, I don't care one way or the other if we do this appraisal, if we do a different appraisal. My biggest concern was, what's the purpose of the appraisal and spending the funds for? So if we aren't trying to put this on the market tomorrow, then I don't really think this is the best use of funds at all, which I think we've had lengthy discussions about in the past, so I kinda hate to go through it all again and just come to a standstill on this property and not do anything. So I think we need to have a path as far as paying for an appraisal right now. If we don't have a path, we don't need an appraisal, is my opinion.
Okay.
I agree with what Lauren said in the sense that, we didn't go out and wholesale this property, and it came to us and offered it. We feel like we're responding to the offer, but we're not obligated to do that by any means, so I agree with what you're saying.
Do you
But I-
wanna amend your motion?
Well, we,
I'm
Table
once
Yeah.
discussion's over, we can go to
Oh,
a
okay.
vote. If
I
it
thought
fails,
we-
it fails.
Yeah, I would just like to say, I mean, I don't wanna get off track, but I just kind of wanna say, like, if we aren't gonna move forward with the appraisal and we've turned down offers, what are we doing with this property? Because it's not right of us to just hold it either, with no plan and kinda tie up our funds. Like, the market is turning and there will be some changes that we see.
So
So I
there
think
is some stuff-
capitalizing on, there is some reason to move forward with an appraisal and there is some reason to kind of try and get this listed. So is that important to us?
Laura?
One of our agenda items further down, the Texas Department of Agriculture grant, may shed some light on this.
Okay.
So we wanna
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Okay, well, good, great minds think alike.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with just having a comfort zone, knowing what one of our assets' current value is, but not at $3,600.
And this is just discussion, but I'll throw this out later, is we've got some workshops that are coming up. I think maybe we put the Buck Creek property on a workshop and get an idea of where we as a board want to go with this, but I think that'll tie into things that we do get on later on in the agenda, so. Any further discussion on this?
So if we do, vote against the, going forward with this appraisal, does that mean that we wanna go ahead and get another price, or do we wanna table appraisals, period?
So that would be brought up if somebody brings up another motion before going to the rest of the agenda. I think maybe we have an idea of where we wanna go with the property before we spend any funds on getting something done. And it could be, that price difference could be the difference between residential and commercial, I don't know.
I mean, it very well could be, and I know the reason we discussed breaking them up into 2 lots is, one, it is 3 lots, and breaking it up and getting this $1,800 per lot seems absolutely outrageous beyond the $1,800 per lot already. So that's kind of the reasoning between doing 2 lots and 3. His opinion is that the max benefit and price that we would get would probably be by doing it into these two lots as opposed to the 3 or opposed to the 1. So that's kind of the logic behind breaking it into 2. As far as the prices, of course, there's different prices. Commercial is gonna be more expensive, but they are raw land, so, you know,
And I will say really quick, that this comes back as item 6A on the agenda. So if we want to move in another direction other than what this vote is right now and discussion on this vote is right now, then that can be brought up in 6A. Any further discussion on, right now the motion on the table is to accept the invoice for the appraisal.
all right, I would say I would like to amend,
We don't even have to do that, we can vote.
just vote on this.
That's
Okay.
up to vote, right?
Yep, so all in favor? All opposed? Okay. All opposed, none in favor, the motion fails. Thank you all. Alright, item 6A, update on Buck Creek property appraisal. So that kind of rolls into
Yeah.
what you were just saying right now, the update, why he did what he did, splitting it into the 2 lots, things like that.
Yep, so that's just to go off of what we were just discussing. Yes, that the idea behind that was basically to maximize what we could get for the property, while also, thank you so much, maximizing not, you know, spending another $1,800 to tell us what a lot that we already just got the price of 2 is, so we can already kind of base it off that. My opinion, which has also been my opinion in the past, and Lindsay, love your opinion on this as well, is that as a realtor, we can see a lot of stuff and do pretty semi-accurate comparative market analysis. So that kind of gives us a rolling number to go with. Of course, we're not commercial, and that is very different. So please note that, you know, that is a different ballgame, but again, it's raw land, so.
My question for you and Lindsay, because there's so few comps in the area, the property we just sold is going to massively affect what the appraisal value of those properties are. And basically, it's going to be what we just sold the property.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of shot
Cost
ourselves in the
everybody
foot with
fine.
that one.
Oh, I think we did good for the area.
Here's my, can I give you my input on that part?
Yes, Lindsay.
So, what we sold the last property for is not public knowledge because it was not in the MLS. So it doesn't have to be a comp that they use. We do not have to give any appraiser that information as well.
Okay.
Nor fill out the form that they send you, asking.
You saying from the county
The
tax
state.
assessor?
The
No,
state,
you don't, you don't need to tell the tax assessor as well.
Yeah.
but they do send you a form and asking you that amount.
Right.
It is public knowledge, cause it was talked about in
So,
city council.
There are a couple of new comps that have sold recently that I know about firsthand, which are better comps. The problem is there haven't been many comps, which is why whenever we first started, I suggested getting an appraisal potentially because there weren't any comps to go from. But there are a couple that have just recently sold. So there are some, so I think in the workshop we could discuss those items more. Another option would be if we did end up getting an appraisal, especially if they're pricing it as like $1,800 per lot, is just getting one lot appraised.
Mm-hmm.
Good idea.
Getting money on if they're breaking it up that way.
Okay.
Is it platted that way?
No, platted is 3 lots. Okay. Alright, is there any more of an update on item 6A? Okay, alright, moving on to item 6B, approval to change the amount requested for wayfinding signs to be made available to the committee for expenses from $10,000 to $9,000. Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we, change the amount approved for wayfinding signs to 9,000
Okay.
instead of 10,000.
So the motion is to amend prior meeting's motion to approve 9,000 instead of $10,000 for expenses of wayfinding signs. Do we have a second?
Is this based on something relevant that we've had? Second.
Okay, discussion.
Oh.
I was not thinking anything 10,000 above has to have a public hearing, wait 60 days and go to city council. If we ask for 9,000, we can move forward. And, with our process, and this is gonna be a very lengthy process, as we're finding out. One company told us that it could take, even after we decide on everything, it can take TxDOT 6 to 9 months to approve. And
we'd love to have these wayfinding signs in place prior to the solar eclipses.
we will, but it's gonna take more money than this too.
Oh, yeah.
We are finding out this is a very expensive project.
So in total, what are you thinking as far as expenditures for, that we would have to go
We're
back to
trying to
again?
get prices now. One company, which is out of our league, quoted us 18 to 22,000 just for a plan and getting it to TxDOT, and then we'd have to go out for bid to get the signs made and installed. We're searching other companies, but that was,
For how many signs?
we're still looking at that too.
The original idea from Simple City was a minimum of 4 signs.
Right.
One at basically each entrance of the city on both 16 and 173.
But part of that problem is, especially the intersection at 16 and 173 coming in from San Antonio, that intersection is chaos. We're gonna need to put them further out,
I think that would be smart.
in order
Needs to
to
be
not
there.
cause more congestion and havoc in that intersection. And a lot of that is, we've been working hard, haven't we, Patricia?
I was gonna jump in, you look at me. The higher end company specifically will come out and look at what your needs are. Not just with
Right.
wayfinding signs above directing people, but utilizing the two public parking lots that I'm thinking of. One, we're getting ready to have a historical marker eventually at the Tin Man. And so having something in that parking lot that is pedestrian friendly as well. If you've ever been to Fredericksburg and been outside their visitor center and in other locations, they have one map that's taken and divided the city into grids. You know, like your center, this, and then this. And that's one of the comments that I think we have been told, is that we need to start having a mechanism to send people more than just to the 2 blocks. So if you have something with a grid on it, I know you're talking, right, an app, but you don't always have internet. And there are apps and the same information can be used. You can't use an app while you're driving.
Says who?
I know, just give me the, I'm sorry, I deviated, but.
I would say, if y'all don't mind, as a citizen, I would say that I would like to see something locally made and something made from wood, preferably, and
I need TxDOT criteria.
TxDOT doesn't.
TxDOT
those
has
criteria.
full say over all of this.
The wood signs that you do see up that were put in by our previous mayor, Horst Pulaski, he thought he was doing beautiful. They're not breakaway, he didn't have permission.
Now, what,
we're Bandera.
Well, but we're also
if
Texas.
these are outside of TxDOT's right of way,
You could possibly do something like that.
Like
Yeah.
11th Street. or
And have we
something
looked
like-
for grants?
But-
Cause I'm the grant queen, so have we looked for grants instead of spending money?
Well,
Hey, we're
I'll.
all for it, but I do think we need to kinda get in the process of just,
Getting it done?
yeah,
I'll stop.
Getting
now.
it done
Sorry.
and talking, just like we liked Simple City,
So,
we all said we thought
really
we could
quick,
do it.
Okay.
Patricia,
Yes,
really quick,
let me tell you what
So
your
the
smart
motion-
money is.
the motion on the table right now is to amend the 10,000 down to 9,000 so that we can get started. Obviously, we all hear how much is actually going into trying to get this project figured out. And that way we can actually get started on it without having to do 90 days worth of,
Good.
so any further discussion on that part? All in favor? Lindsay?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, all in favor, none opposed, the
Thank you.
motion passes. Item 6C, update on electric vehicle charging stations.
Talked with BEC and they have agreed to set up 4, portable, stations for us in, the EDC, lot on Cypress. Don't know, he wasn't sure if they would do it free gratis or what, but he said that they would get back to us on that as time approached. So,
excellent.
Awesome.
Well, if they're temporary, they would be charging for the service, correct? I mean, you just don't plug in.
no, they're gonna
You
drop
use your
them.
credit card when you plug
Right,
in.
right,
You
right,
use-
so they will
Right.
actually benefit from it.
Right, but they'll have to drop the line and all that,
Right, right.
so,
I would tell them like anybody else, put a business plan together.
I-
Give me a low case, mid case, and
I tell you
best case.
what, you wanna take this over?
No. I want whoever is really strongly pushing this to put that business case together. Because, to me,
Okay.
it's like it's a one shot.
Any more updates on it?
That's all I have for now.
Okay. Item 6D, Department of Agriculture Economic Development Grants.
Well, I'm glad Patricia's here because if it wasn't for her, this thing would not have happened. Patricia and Rebecca were at a Hill Country Alliance meeting in Nike on a Saturday. They heard about this grant. It was due on Monday. Patricia calls me and said, do you have time to do it? I was like, yeah, I'm at mom's, all hell's breaking loose. She said, I'll do it. So, thank you, Patricia. She filled out the form. What this grant is for initially hiring a strategic planner to develop an economic development plan for the city of Bandera for rural areas. They are asking us to put up $5,000 and they will give us $45,000 to hire this planner. The second phase of this is implementing some of the things from the plan. And the grant can be they haven't set the amount, but from $750,000 to $1 million.
Woo,
It's not competitive.
Right.
we just talked about it in our meeting. Good job, guys.
Okay, so,
If you didn't hear that from Patricia, this is a non-competitive grant.
right.
So
They didn't publish the criteria or any of that. Apparently, we said some of the right things. And we have been approved. So I am asking, for the EDC to, give the city $5,000 to proceed with this grant.
To give the city 5,000?
Yes, they have to apply
Oh,
for it.
well, is the council gonna provide any funds towards this?
This grant is specifically economic development.
Specifically EDC?
Yes.
So
but-
whatever the hired planner comes in and recommends, then out of those recommendations, whatever they set the grant for, somewhere between 750,000 to 1 million, we get that money to actually implement some of the stuff in the plan.
And they will help us facilitate, say, maybe it's through Texas Workforce, through other Texas state agencies, they will help us facilitate getting these also accomplished. So even if there isn't money for some of it, they will also help facilitate.
So let me just make sure that I'm clear. So the 5,000 that EDC would put up through the city in order to apply for the grant, we get 45,000.
For
So
a
the
total
total
of-
of 50,000 to hire a planner to come in and look at it and then come up with a plan. Is that 50,000 gonna cover that cost? Or could
We
there
will
be
send out
additional cost
the city will have to send out an RFQ,
for a plan?
for the plan.
So we would put up the 5,000 and then the city would have to facilitate everything from there?
It has to go through the city, yes.
In order to get a grant, because we are a corporation, not a government entity. The grant has to be funneled from us through the city to them.
And just, can I just throw this out? Simple City, EDC, I know funded portions of that process. This is a test program, pilot program for TDA. So what they wanna ensure is that it's a qualified economic development planning strategic company that would be similar to Simple City that will come in, analyze, visit with the people, seeing your strengths and weaknesses. And the programs that have come out, they have several cities that are, I would say, at the toddler stage in phase 2 that are doing their projects. One of them is building a trade school. One of them is doing something with the internet to draw people. So the plan is to be specifically for this community.
It's not infrastructure, it's,
It's to build the economic
Economic
development.
right. So,
So the city has to send out the RFQ, the city would kind of get or arrange and choose the person that comes in and makes the plan.
I'm sure we'll get to have a little bit of input on that.
And then, so the city decides how much we would spend, and then how would that money would it
The
go
city
straight
ha-
back to us, or the money goes to the city and the city?
I would assume.
How much control does
city-
the city have?
The city would have the control in hiring the firm
Or-
and because I know the city doesn't have other funds to spend. But if they found a firm that might be $59,500, the city might come back, can you do another 9? That we did over and above. So there's a guarantee that there'll be $50,000 to do a RFQ for a small town of Bandera size.
And I'll say
And when we send out, when the bids are sent out, or the interview process, we can tell them cap it
Limited.
at 50,000 is what we have because of this grant. That's it.
And then working with whoever is chosen, who would be the liaison, the city or the board?
Needs to be the city.
The
The
city
city.
technically has to,
Because we
because
can't.
we're not a governing entity.
So this is basically,
For the grant.
Correct.
Grant.
Right.
But if, after the city has hired someone, then obviously the EDC can work with that.
They will work very closely with the EDC to develop the plan.
If they're an EDC planning and strategy company, they're going to wanna sit down with us.
Yes.
right,
Right.
but the money all and control ultimately and decisions gonna come from the city.
It is. And it would go through the city regardless when implementing, because it's gonna be over that $10,000, even though it's in a
Right.
grant.
Yeah.
It's gonna be over that $10,000 mark, so it's gonna have to go through the city for approval and all kinds of, so.
They'll
yes.
have to have a public hearing, a resolution, everything.
And there is a deadline that all gets accomplished by July 31st.
Right.
And then once that comes in, so say there's a plan, and we've hired the firm and they've set the plan, then the 750 to $1 million would potentially come into the city and be dispersed by the city.
To the EDC.
Well, either to the EDC or even to the city, but you've got to bear in mind, I lost my train of thought, I'm so sorry, but it will not be, that grant has to go to the city.
Right.
But
And the grant can only, that money
it
can
can
only
only
be
go
used
for
for
economic
whatever.
development,
For
period.
what was agreed upon in the plan.
And the community, I'll use the word like Simple City, it was the community that accepted that plan. I think city council would have probably been very upset if, or the community would have been very upset if the city council didn't accept the plan, because it had been included in every phase of the project.
So if they come in and their plan is, hey, a trade school, and the grant gets accepted to build a trade school, and the money gets sent to the city can't turn around and go, no, we're gonna redirect this to be towards the city park,
Right.
or roads, or
Right.
anything else.
But the city's deciding which way, what kind of, the city's hiring the firm, the city's the one coming up with the ideas that
No,
No,
the company.
No.
the
The
company
company.
just purely does, so the
the
city
company is
doesn't
a
have any input
strategic
on what they
advice
think.
planning company that
And-
is hired.
We had a Zoom call yesterday, with the lady from Texas Department of Agriculture, and she stated that they would get, they'll come do an assessment very similar to what, Simple City did, to determine our needs and get input from everyone, is how I interpret
I
that.
And more than likely, they'll have more than one project, and they'll say, okay, we see one of the biggest impacts for economic development would be this type of project.
Right.
And then we see the second best economic development that you can get would be this project.
Or maybe they see two.
Right.
Maybe they see a combination of the two examples Patricia used, a Zoom, community,
Or whatever,
or
which
a
doesn't
trade
cost us
school.
that much to do.
Right,
But I will stress, this is a pilot program, and what it was brought out in particular at that meeting in Lakey is, this is one of the grants, since it's a pilot program and not out there for everyone, it's out there for everyone to become a member of the pilot program, but
Rural.
Rural, has to be rural, but TDA got to pick and choose who they want to work with. So I have a feeling Bandera doesn't fit anybody's molds when it comes to how much revenue we make, the size of our community. All
Great
of
for
these,
pilot
we are,
programs.
and we do not fit anybody's standard parameters. And there were, Lakey was at that meeting, Junction was at that meeting, all these other communities. They didn't jump on it and say, hey, I should say we did, and we got it, and they're willing to work with us. So,
Long and the
Yeah.
short is, we put up $5,000,
we
and we get at least a $750,000 project.
if we follow through.
that's kind of a no-brainer.
no-brainer.
Just need to approve the seed capital.
Huh? And you're talking about Buck
That's a good
Creek,
bet.
if it, in this whole process, if something like that comes up, then,
Right,
They could come in, that strategic planner could come in and say, hey, the Buck Creek property is prime for this specific project
It's cross-
for economic development.
for whatever it is, maybe
For
not a
whatever-
trade school. just-
yes,
So they will analyze the available real estate, I'm assuming, I'm not an economic development specialist, but I'm assuming they will analyze your real estate, analyze that we're top heavy, on tourism, which we are, but any industries that could complement tourism. And my job's to bring tourism here, but we also need sustainable job creation.
They'll also look at, because it's economic development, they'll look at where our leakages are and where our leakages aren't.
If you attended Simple City, Linda Hubble did a beautiful graph of explaining that.
They could come back in and say the best economic thing, I don't know, cause I haven't seen the prerequisites.
There isn't any.
There aren't any.
any.
But
It's a
they could
pilot.
come in and say the biggest economic impact that we could do here is public transportation.
Yes.
Right,
Like, it could be any
busing
number.
people from San Antonio to work.
It could be any number of things. But long of the short is, we put up $5,000.
I mean, I understand the five, I'm not worried about the
Well,
five.
and the
I'm
public
just trying to
transport-
understand, just grasping everything and kind of thinking about how it'll all work together.
Well, in
I
other words, it
gave you a
gives us
little
an
handout that
opportunity to
gives you a little bit
brainstorm
of information,
without
but
being
not a lot.
tied to a piece of paper and a budget. Period. That's why I said I'm kind of good at grades.
Okay.
So let me just get a little more clarification. So the grant itself you're saying has already been committed? That
Provided
been
the
approved.
city
puts up,
The $5,000.
$1,000 and completes a little bit more paperwork, but Laura was in on that same call, I was on the same call, so I'm gonna paraphrase whatever the lady Aubrey Ann said. She says it's real simple, it's gonna involve a little bit more narrative. In any place you get stuck on a tactical or data, I can help you fill it out. But I have access and we always review the numbers and all of that on a monthly basis. So I filled it out pretty accurately on that. She says, we're willing to help you out, you just call me, we'll finish it. But the tactical part, or the realistic part, is all of the resolutions have to go through and be had, and the EDC has to do a motion to authorize the 5,000 to the city, and all of that by July 31st. And since EDC meets once a month, the city council meets more frequently, but those all have to have, right, and public notices have to go out X days ahead.
So with these grants, basically it just comes down to follow through, because there's gonna be timelines. So there's the timeline for it actually being submitted fully, but we already know that if we're submitted fully,
I guess back to
So-
make it clear my question. We put up the 5,000, we get the 45,000. We get a study that's done, hire someone to come in and get a study. That study is completed. Here it is, this is our recommendation. From that point forward, has that grant for additional funding will it be approved in this process, or is it a separate process?
It's a separate process,
Okay,
I understand, and it's
so what we're getting-
non-competitive.
So what we're getting from our 5,000 commitment would be a study, a completed study that is handed to the city of Bandera for us to look at and to further make grant proposals in order to get funding to follow through with those plans.
on a non-competitive.
Non-competitive basis.
Non-competitive
But
basis.
I just wanna make sure that
Yes.
I was clear
Yes.
that there wasn't any commitment for a grant past the study or okay, I'm clear.
And so you say non-competitive, meaning that there's just not one large pot that everyone's pulling from, or?
That's correct.
Okay,
That means we don't have to.
We're not fighting.
If 30
anybody for it.
cities
not
go
fighting.
up with applications,
we're not
Then-
fighting for the same pot of money.
we're not fighting for the same policy.
Especially, this is a pilot. In the future, down the road, that
May
may
change.
well be how it happens, but right now, it's a very,
Small group of people, we
Infant.
don't even know who all got the grant.
we don't.
And the
Well-
way the mayor found out about it is Aubrey Ann called her and said, what's this grant application, she didn't even know I'd filled it out.
Right, and, cause she sent me an email, and it went to spam, and I didn't,
Right,
I hadn't checked my spam.
Okay. Keep discussion
Alright.
on,
so the 750,000 potentially that we could get, would there be any money that would be required or that we could be told we have to match to get any
We
of
don't
that?
know that step.
We don't know that.
So
But what we do,
All we know is we can get a study done
which
we
is
get
still valuable.
45,000 towards a study, may not even pay for the study.
Well,
I
we
think
can
it will.
cap it at that, and it probably, knowing at what the
You get
city spent total
45,000
for
versus
Simple
study,
City
whether
over the course of
it's
9
complete or
months,
not.
50,000 is gonna get us quite a bit.
And at
And
least,
Simple City's
tell you what
already
you
done
need
90%
to
of
look
the economic legwork.
Right,
Right.
There's a lot of
And
information
I
to be
think
shared.
that's one reason we got the grant, because the one sentence I did put in there is that we just have adopted a new master plan created by Simple City, and this will augment the master plan that is in place, and I don't know if I even put this sentence, but which recognizes that the population of Bandera needs to grow,
you did.
but without an impact on our natural resources. Boy, that was a long sentence.
And is there any scope of work at all within like what the team coming in to do? I mean, what is economic development?
I
for the
did
town?
Google it, because I did Google exactly what a strategic economic planning company does, and that's the best thing I can tell you. Google it, and then you'll get some ideas of what
This
they
gives
are.
you a little
And
bit of
again,
information.
this being a pilot program and them not putting out all the prerequisites yet, this could be left wide open. Or when by the time they come in, they could have furthered the program a little bit and narrowed it down to, it's gotta fall under these 5 categories.
Did
And
you
I think there
include
was-
this piece on the emails?
Yeah,
Cause this is what I Googled
Yeah,
specifically,
it's
and that's
this.
those things come up, companies. Because I was leery about doing it, but I thought, I'll do it for 4 hours, what's to lose, nothing.
and even if
I think it would,
what they have ensured us they will do, even if there's things that they're recommending in our plan that may not fit in their future plan, but they can refer us to other agencies who have grants that could further.
So if they
Whatever.
come out and say the best economic impact would be a trade school in the area, however, the qualifications that we put down, that's no longer gonna fall in, right? Say that's what we get 9 months from now. They would do the coordination and help us with like Texas Workforce Commission, who has grants specifically for things like trade schools.
well, I think it'd be important too to have TDA have a company that is familiar with rural economic development plans and not someone that is.
And that's part of,
They're
that's part of
economic-
setting out RFQs and RFIs.
That they're also have a list of
And that's what,
companies.
and that's exactly what they're trying to do, is branch out and help rural communities. Because at the city level, I was not aware of this, but the majority of the CDBG grants go through Texas Department of Agriculture, and they're all infrastructure, and really don't have anything to do with farming and ranching at all. So why do they go through there? But by helping a rural community, you know, our little farmer's market's very weak. Now, obviously, we wouldn't get a grant that would improve that, but they can come in here and give pointers. It'll be very interesting to see our community from an economic standpoint through the eyes of a specialist.
Alright.
And it'll
Any
also give
more-
us direction on where we need to focus.
Alright, any more discussion on this?
Has the city discussed this at all?
we did this evening.
At a workshop, but they will have it on their agenda officially.
And actually, since you brought it up, if I may, sir,
Yes.
we tentatively put down for a workshop on the 28th with the EDC. So,
28th of this month,
yeah, next month.
Sure.
next month, July? Okay. Alright. Any more discussion on this? I can't remember at this point, was a motion made?
Yes, for
Was it?
5,000.
Was it?
I don't.
Yes,
I don't
I
think
did.
so.
I made it.
No,
I made it.
Okay.
That-
who
that-
seconded
She's
it?
making
I
one
don't
now.
think there was a second. I don't know.
No, I think we rolled right into
Okay.
discussion because
Okay.
we were wanting to know what this was. Okay, do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we, give the city $5,000 to proceed with the Texas Department of Agriculture grant.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Alan seconds. All in favor? I'm sorry, any further discussion? No? All in favor? All opposed? All in favor, none opposed, the motion passes. Give the city $5,000 to pursue the Department of Agriculture Economic Development Grant. Item 6E, request to Bandera City Council for parking lot pothole repairs.
I put that on.
Yep.
I spoke with Suzanne and, about the Public Works patching the couple of little potholes that are in our parking lot. And she said, just put together a request of what work we need to be done. And, that she thought she could take that to city council and see if they would approve it to do the repairs
Okay. At cost to us, correct?
at our cost.
At cost to us, okay. Alright,
That is just potholes and not striping, or
No. I think the
striping is outside?
Yes, they don't do striping. In fact, they're gonna be coming to us, wanting it, apparently they have leased the parking lot from the Methodist Church. And, the Methodist Church is wanting that to be repaved and striped.
and there is a new striping company in town local.
Oh, good,
I saw that.
Just
Good.
throwing that out there. Okay, do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we take, this project to city council,
Submit a request to city council?
yes.
Okay, do we have a second? Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Lindsay? All opposed? All in favor, none opposed, the motion passes. To send a request to city council for parking lot pothole repairs. Item 6F, Connex repair and inventory updates.
Thank you, Billy.
Did you do the inventory?
No,
Bill,
no.
yeah,
I
Bill.
helped carry stuff out, but I didn't do anything.
Well, you were a big help. We did do an inventory. Linda, is gonna have a list. She had to go rewrite it, but, all of the decorations are in the new Connex.
That's what it looks like afterwards, anyway.
Oh, before and after?
Oh, yeah.
No, that's just after.
Oh,
I
that's
should've
after.
took it, I should've.
Yeah,
taken
you
it
should have
before.
taken the before.
Oh,
The
picture.
before was just thrown in there, right?
Well,
No,
Is
this
it
before,
was not
before?
just thrown in.
before you couldn't get to the back. You couldn't,
Oh.
I mean, probably 10 feet from the back.
Now, the flag is not there and the decorations from the courthouse are not there. Jack has those stored out in Mansfield.
Okay.
So, it was a chore and,
How many years since it's been done, just out of curiosity?
it's never been done.
Never.
Inventory,
That's a quick
inventory. It's grown and grown and been pushed in there and,
Okay, now the old Connex, is that completely empty right now?
no.
No, you see that, the
That
one,
is-
that is the old with the shelving, it's still in there. That's the old.
Okay,
Basically, all of the decorations are out. The majority of the stuff that's left in the old Connex is extension cords, there's some old tires, there's T-posts.
T-posts.
The stars for the T-post are
They're
still in there.
decorated.
There are a few Christmas trees,
okay.
that are still in there, but all of the wired decorations.
And the new one, the new Connex has what in it?
All the decorations.
All the
It was
decorations, the old
packed.
Connex has all the electrical stuff?
Uh-huh.
Was
Basically.
the old Connex re-caulked and sealed?
No,
Okay, but there's room to actually get,
you can walk to the
And
back of
You
it.
can walk to the
Okay.
back now.
That's,
okay,
I think the biggest issue on the old Connex, that's sitting on the ground is sweating like crazy.
yeah.
So
And
I
we
think
know that we need to put that
get-
up on
Get it
bars.
up off there,
Right.
and I think
Get some air under it.
this little Connex has 4 vents on it. This long Connex has 2, one at each end. And so probably, it would help to get it up off the ground. That's probably take care of 75% of the moisture problems.
Okay,
And then,
So you could just do it on cinder blocks, couldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah,
Or
those-
railroad ties or.
Well,
railroad
the
ties.
16 by 16, by 4 blocks is what they recommend.
Yep.
No dead cats?
I'm sure there were any critters in there.
There's a lot of mold, I guarantee that, it's stunk to high heaven. My allergies.
I mean,
Oh, I bet.
the roof was dripping,
Right,
that's how much moisture is in it.
so,
And as dry as we are, that, you
Isn't
know,
that weird, it's dry as
dry as we are, that condensation is dripping
condensation.
from the
Can
roof.
we collect that and put it back into the harbor?
Rain
City
catchment.
water
Oh, the
center.
river needs it.
Okay,
Are you going to, is your friend's tractor big enough to pick that up
Yes.
with the stuff in it?
I don't know about with the stuff in it, but I know he's got a good sized tractor with forks.
Okay,
So we can see,
the BBA.
and with it organized like that, how much 2x4 wood shelving went into it?
There's,
What was your, what,
How mu-
As
as
far
far
as
as
the weight?
as far as wood, just for the shelving, how much weight went into it with that?
Oh, very little.
Very little.
I mean, there's a pile of T-posts there that right at the front
Right.
that probably weighs 400 or 500 pounds. I would imagine those could be pulled out, but I think if you just lift it up one end at a time and got blocks underneath it, it probably needs blocks in the middle or the front here, and then on the side. I don't think you won't be able to get to the other one because you can't get between those two.
Well, worst case scenario with the tractor, if we can't lift it up 6 inches, get 4-inch blocks underneath it, then.
right.
Then we can pull some stuff out and then try it again. So,
They suggested, the guy the Connex man, that we put 3 on each side in the back and 1 on each side in the front.
okay.
And the BBA, would also like theirs done at the same time and is willing to meet you out there and work with you, whatever.
Okay.
They just,
I agree
Is
with
the
that.
bottom structurally
The
okay?
problem is you're not gonna be able to get between them. You're
well,
not
you'll
gonna
have to get to the back, yeah, you'll just have to do it from the,
No, I'm talking about this, in the middle, that's where your
You get-
issue is. Cause you can get on the right side of our Connex, you
And the
can't
left
get
side of
between.
theirs.
right.
There's no
Well,
walking
you
room
can-
between.
You can get behind the
Oh, no.
small Connex,
And-
halfway down and get one there, but you can't get between the two long Connex.
And there is an ornament that is between the 2 connexes, that's like made out of metal and it's like 8 foot long, and we decided when you have the tractor there, that'd be a good time to try and get it done.
Okay,
Okay,
I'll see what I can do.
All
Any
right.
other updates on repair and inventory of the Connex? Okay. Item 7, comments from the board. I love you all. Yes.
would it be possible, when you get the check, on our sales tax each month, for you to just shoot us an email, Keely? I just kinda like to keep up with the trends,
That's fine.
especially with kind of what's been this tourists have been up and down lately.
Conveniently, I have the one that for last month. I just got it today and just deposited at the bank, so it's over there if you wanna see it.
No, I just like to know the amount, just to kinda keep in my head.
Yeah.
Running tally.
Kind of
Yes,
running
good.
tally, just,
It'd be
it
kinda fun
just,
to
to me,
track
it
it
gives
with the
me an
price of fuel.
indicator of how our city's doing.
Any more comments from the
It's up
board?
and down, really,
Is
just,
it down right?
no, it's
No?
not.
Good.
Okay,
As far as traffic is down, but the sales are about the same,
That's all it counts.
so that's what matters, but yeah.
okay. Item 8, future agenda items. We're about to hit 4th quarter for the year.
Yeah.
So we need to start doing budgeting workshops. We have to have our, budget to the city before October, because they have to approve it and put it into the city's budget. So the sooner we can get that to them, the easier it is for them to finalize their budget. So July, August are normally, we normally reserve that up for budget workshops. And in the past, we've had probably 2 a month. In order to get that done and ratified in time to get it to the city council. I don't wanna fall into a trend of approving it right at the end of September, and then the city doesn't have it in their city council meeting till October, and then everybody's, including the state, is mad that the budget's not in on time. So
you said a workshop on the July 28th?
Yes, ma'am.
So, and what is that workshop specifically pertaining to?
Is that our meeting date?
I don't remember, because I've been dealing with work texts right now, so, about a guy getting out on GPS and he's a sex offender. Budget stuff and,
Okay, so that is our actual meeting date.
July 21st.
Okay,
yeah, that's why we're trying to get it.
it's our meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait. No, that is the 4th Saturday, okay. 4th Thursday. Okay. So, I'm sorry, what was that workshop?
Budget stuff, I think.
Okay.
My head's
Okay. Okay, so.
trying to figure out how to keep this guy in jail, sorry.
I would like to propose the initial budget workshop for EDC on July 14th. And then if the city wants to have a joint one with EDC prior to our meeting on July 28th, then that'll count as our second one for July 28th. Or for the month of July, and then roll into our meeting afterwards. We also need to, and have been putting this off because we haven't had every member of the board here for a couple of months now, is our bylaw workshop. So we need to do that and set a date that we can actually get a commitment from everybody to be there. Yes, Laura.
I was gonna suggest that maybe we, submit our suggestions to Keely ahead of time, so that people can have a chance to look at, the areas.
Okay. I'm good with that, cause I don't wanna push it off much further, but I also don't wanna bog us down with a ton of workshops and stuff
Well,
in the next 2 months.
I thought that might facilitate things moving
Yeah,
faster.
I think that might help facilitate. So, okay. So for the bylaws, if has everyone had a chance to read through the bylaws and look at them? Okay. We can, any suggested changes that need to be made, email them to Keely, not to the rest of the board. Email them to Keely. Keely can disseminate them out to each of us so that we can look at them for review and consideration. And then we can come together once everybody's had the time to do all of that and finalize our bylaw changes.
Sounds good.
And then what am I missing? Missing anything?
Now, if we email that to you, Keely, you distribute anybody that has the input, before the meeting, or?
So my plan, if you don't have comments, or if you do have comments, let me know. Once I get information from everyone, I will consolidate it and then send it out to you guys and say, here are the proposed changes, so on and so forth. And then y'all can discuss it in a workshop with knowledge beforehand.
With all the prior-
That way we're not going, oh, well, I didn't get mine in on this time, or oh, and I'm sending you 47 emails with the
And
same
then-
information.
And what's
And then
what
maybe
date
we
do
can
you
make
want this
that,
by?
then we can make that a workshop
Right,
that's only 30 minutes long prior to a normal meeting.
That's-
Instead of adding,
right.
Yes, as much as we can get prior to it. we can-
When do you want, what's the deadline to have it to Keely?
If I may, if y'all wanna combine the budget and the bylaws in the same workshop on the 14th, instead of dragging out maybe the 28th with city council, that might
We
be the
can-
best option.
We can do that, cause the 14th is just, normally that first
I'm
budget
not gonna be here
workshop
on the 14th.
for the year is a lot of just questions being asked, and what, from specifically new members coming in, looking at it, okay, what traditionally, we put 10% towards this, like, that kind of stuff, so that is traditionally what it is, that's fine.
I have a commitment
Okay,
with my mother. Let me see if I can change it.
okay.
But
Would the 21st work better?
yes, but I can see if I can change it.
Okay. Does everybody think that they could have any changes on the bylaws to Keely by July 8th, which is a Friday? And that way she's got time to put them together and email them to us?
If I can find what it did.
I don't think I'll be here on the 14th either, so.
Okay, so if that's in question, does anybody have issues with the workshop being on the 21st?
I won't be here.
Okay. Alright, our meetings and specifically regarding workshops don't have to be a Thursday night. So if anybody's got a better, I tried to avoid Tuesdays at all costs, cause that's city council's night. So, if anybody's got a better date that works for everybody.
I'll be gone that week of, starting on 17th, July 17th, but the prior week, can, just about any day then. I don't know what your,
13th.
two, the commitments on the 14th, couldn't make it, 13th be fine.
What is,
The 13th is fine with me. Also, city council meetings are the first and third Tuesdays, so the second Tuesday is also open. If
So
Tuesday works
12.
better for other people, I will be here Tuesday and Wednesday.
I like the 12.
I can't do the 12th.
No? What about the 13th?
I can do the 13th. but-
Can everybody do the 13th?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I will,
So tentatively, we will plan it for the
Okay.
13th?
I'll let you know.
Okay. Alright,
I'll also have to check with Lindsay too. She went off the call earlier, but I'll send her an email as well, asking if she can be there on the 13th.
yes. Okay, and then in the back of your mind, and I was going to throw this out when we were talking about Bug Creek, is doing a workshop on where we wanna head with Bug Creek. I don't wanna overwhelm us with workshops between now and September. But if we're also looking at having this company come in and do everything, then we can wait and see, or once we've sat down and the city's actually hired a company, we can sit down with them with a workshop. Or
I
like,
think that would be,
Mhm.
yes.
I think that would be a
So,
great idea.
Keep that in your minds when it comes to that. Or any other future agenda items that anybody needs to see or wants to see. Okay, item number 9. Do I have a motion? Laura,
Make a motion to adjourn.
second,
Second.
discussion, all in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Adjourned at 7:05 PM.